Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Search Engine Journal webinar. Today, we are going to be joined by Benu and Bill, probably two of the most respected SEOs in the entire industry. Both of these individuals speak around the world. They've been, at almost every conference you can imagine and keynoting and everything. So we're really lucky to have them on the webinar today. And they're actually going to talk about a topic that I think every one of us is constantly asking, and that's, what do I need to focus on? Like, what's really important? What are the important digital marketing trends of 2020 that I need to be focusing on? My name is Brent Satoris, and I'll be moderating today, but I'm going to let Benu and Bill kind of tell a little bit about themselves before we jump into some housekeeping. Bill, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Bill Hunt. I've been doing this for, 25-ish years. Main focus is creating scalable solutions to maximize search and all digital.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brent. And I am actually, I have a slide on Milestone and Benu. I'm a president and founder of Milestone. Milestone is a digital agency and a software company based in Silicon Valley. And, I started this company 23 years back when I was a year old. It has phenomenal services and a great software, award-winning software. I think one of our Hall of Fame is we really scale, understand digital space, and we really scale through award-winning software.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to dive into some housekeeping notes real quick. Benu, I don't think we currently have the slides up, so if you can go ahead and work on getting those up while I do the housekeeping points, then we'll be ready to go. So if during the webinar at any point you have questions, comments, concerns, there is a chat box that allows you the opportunity to put your question into the GoToWebinar system. So please use that question box at the bottom of your screen and ask away. We will also have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So I will keep your questions and I will put them together and I will make sure that they have I have them so that I can ask them at the end of the entire presentation. We'll do our best to link any resources. So as we go through the presentation, if a resource is mentioned, we'll do our best to link to it. But if we miss something, please, by all means, let us know and we'll make sure we get it linked there. And we will try to put all the resources and tools into the recap post, which will come out on Monday. After the webinar, please stick around for just a couple quick minutes. It's 5 minutes or less. We have a quick survey. We really do focus on the surveys to help us improve on the shows. We share it with the speakers. Everybody tries to improve based on information. So any feedback you can give us would be great. And without any further ado, Benu, let's go.
Wonderful. Actually, I didn't realize that I didn't have my slides on, but let me start with first wishing everyone very happy new year. And I have to say, these Brett and Bill, two of my favorite people on a planet. We have spoken together, have worked together. So thank you so much, Brett, for inviting. And I know there are phenomenal attendees today. So without further ado, I've already given information about Milestone. Here is what I was trying to say. I'm a president and founder of Milestone, which provide digital services and award-winning software. I think one of our biggest thing is we use software to scale solution services provided across entire digital ecosystem. That was my shameless plug-in. Now let's dive into what we all want to hear. Evolution of search and your digital strategy in 2020, which is a favorite topic, and we do this almost every year. So here is a simplest format or a slide we try to create, which kind of shows 20 plus years, 15 plus years of evolution of search. Search has really evolved from text-driven to conversation to voice-driven. It used to be all about fighting spam. Every single algorithm search engine would release, it was all about fighting spam. And I still remember the time of duplicate content and spammy links and relevant results. And now every algorithm search engines are releasing, it's all about user experience. It's all about ensuring that we can provide right answer to our customer or to our audience, and we can be part of all the conversation our consumer, our customer is having across every single device. Now, I will not go through all these amazing animals here. I'm sure if you're part of search, you know all these algorithm release, but there is a link I have given. You can absolutely go look at it. But goal here is, or what we want to communicate, that search is not about keywords, it's about conversation, it's about user experience, and every single algorithm is supporting user experience conversation across different devices. Now, search is about different devices and about conversation. Let's look at where are your customers and what are they doing and what are they consuming. So right here, this is a slide we just updated a couple of months back. 65% of your consumers are coming through mobile devices. And out of that 65, 50% of them are coming through voice. And 30% of them are not even using any device. These are coming through screenless devices. And what's really funny is we have seen that real hand with our own customer, almost 10% jump. This is a slide I just pulled day before yesterday. Almost 10% jump in last 8 months in terms of conversion, in terms of lead across mobile. Now, giving to Bill, go ahead with all the amazing information on latest algorithm.
Thanks, Benu. As you said, we have this huge pivot into different devices, different places, and all that. And that's Google rolled out this BERT update. And I think a lot of people are really confused what it is. I mean, I heard someone the other day saying that they were learning, a new programming language just so they could understand how Google was dealing with BERT. And I think, Benu put these slides together. It starts really with what's the impact of this. And it's about relevant results. And that's the big crux of what we're going to talk about today is you have to rethink how we're approaching search because it is becoming more conversational as people, we've been trained to type abbreviated queries, sort of, restaurants or pizza or Thai food, and it applies the near me. But as people start to move into voice, they're back to asking questions, and we need to be able to understand the nuance. And that's really what BERT did, was better understand the nuance and context, and so that we can really figure out a way to deal with this. If we go to the next slide, there's this shift in ideas, and actually I've been talking about this for probably 20 years, that you need to think about really Google as your new homepage, because people will go and do a query, like in this case, Impossible Foods, and make sure that you own the shelf and the concept, of your topic at Google. We go to the next slide. This one I think illustrates it a little bit better what I'm talking about. A very simple query, asking a question, best beach in Cancun. Now we see what's happened with the search results is they've been pivoted not just to the usual 10 blue links, but there's videos in here. There's local listings, there's images, there's people also ask. The interesting thing, the number one people ask on this query is the same question I asked. The reason it shows up as a PAA, in my opinion, is because most of what's being presented doesn't match. And what we want to talk about today is you need to step back now, open the lens, and Benu's going to walk us through a process of really taking all of your content, all of your assets, with the sole goal of not only owning the shelf space here at Google, but also through other places as well. And that's really what we need to do, is we need to think about what's happening. And this is what BERT did. It's essentially trying to present to people the right asset type that matches the question that they asked. If we go to the next slide, we see this has been happening for a while, but it's really culminating now. This research from Google My Business is showing that 84% of searches are still discovery, meaning people may want a plumber near me. They may not know it's Joe's Plumbing, but they'll put in something broad and it brings back the results. Only 16% of queries are actually that level of local precise. People are still looking for ideas, and we need to think like that. If we go to the next slide, this is amplified even more through this study from SparkToro, which we're all familiar with, and many SEOs are panicking, this whole concept of zero-click searches. And one of the takeaways we're going to give you for today is to start how to think about this differently, not as a negative. Yes, your traffic will decline. Is this case is they show 56% of the results don't result in a click. And if we even think back to that beaches page, none of the paid really matched my query. So of course people aren't going to click it. Now, if they happen to pick one of those beaches, there's no need to click forward. And we need to think about this a little holistically. On the next slide, we see how Google's trying to do this. If it's a proper question or appears to be a question, they're trying to answer that. And this is everything that they changed recently that will no longer have our regular organic listing if we get this answer box. But if you think about this, and I'm US Bank, and somebody wants to know about this, I'm answering the question. I'm telling them what it is that they want to know. Now, if I do this correctly, I can answer the question, make them familiar, and hopefully motivate them and have them click through to the site. And so this is what we want to do, is think about a new way. A, we want to own these, and B, we want to figure out what are the KPIs and how to manage this going forward. If you go to the next slide. And so, I'm going to hand it back to Benu to walk us through. She's created a really robust set of steps to help you understand how to truly maximize this opportunity that we have. So Benu, walk us through your guide for the robust strategy.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So like we saw in US Bank example, it's not about doing 100 things, it's about doing one thing right. It's really knowing a customer, what problem they have, and giving them that one right answer. So here is a simple step, 12 steps, which you can use in your day-to-day life to come up with robust strategy. We have added some case study, so we will not go through every single one of them here, but let me explain all of these in a step-by-step slides down below. But before we even create a robust strategy, my recommendation to anyone is to understand what problem we are trying to solve. After doing this for 20 plus years, what I see is a lot of time we focus on channels and strategies without knowing what is a business problem we are trying to solve. Search is changing 24/7. I have a very simple rule within our company that if we don't run fast enough, we are going to be part of History Museum, and we don't want to be part of History Museum. But in spite of all that, it's really critical for us to understand what problem we are trying to solve before we come up with channel and strategies and tactics. And we created within Milestone something called Idea Lab, which is aligned with our customer business problem. It doesn't matter which channel, what tactic, what KPI. What really matters is what is a business problem you need to solve. And once we understand business problem, then we go dive into who's my customer, what are their needs, right? We don't wake up in the morning and we have some intent. We wake up and we are solving a problem. And that's exactly, we as a marketer need to know what is the stage of what problem we are trying to solve for our customer. Are they looking for education? Are they looking for how to, or they want to have help me, or they have different stages of intent, and it's important to know who is my customer and what are the business problems they are looking for, or they're searching for. Now, once we know that, then thinking about content becomes really, really easy. We don't want to think about keywords. We want to think about intent and our customer and their needs and those topics, which is going to solve their need. Now, there are different formats of content we can create, but you can't create content if we don't take out time to understand who's my customer and what is their problem and where are they going, what information they are looking for. Now there are different types of content you can create. With BERT, BERT update, it becomes even more critical that we are ensuring our content is relevant and can provide right information. So here is a different ways for us to surface information FAQs. You can go to different tools and find out what are people looking for. But simple thing, just talk to your customer. Talk to people who are servicing your customer. Come up with all the 100+ questions customers are asking you all the time, and it works. It works really, really well. So that's your step one. Know your customer and know what are they looking for and what is their problem and what is that intent, what is that search intent. Now back to you, Bill, going into how do you create a gesture strategy out of once you know your content and how you put it all together.
So I think, one of the things that frustrates me a lot with SEOs is we do everything Benu just said, and we throw it up on the web, and we hope, and then we'll use a various tool to see if we get an answer box, and all is good in the world. We need to stop that. It's part of our strategy. We need to step back and say, remember that search shelf space. There was everything from videos, there was text, there was images, there was FAQ information. That's what we need to do, is look at our entire set of assets through the lens of the customer. What is, our business problem is to get bookings over the weekend. That's great. So what do we need to present to people who want to do something that we can get them on the weekend? And really it starts with aligning the various digital assets to our content strategy. If you go to the next slide. And just like most people are out there scraping things out of, Answer the Public and things like that, a lot of people are starting to move toward entities. We've heard this a lot, that Google is using entities, to make decisions. A bank should be relatively straightforward. But if you look at this case, it's not only a financial institution, it's got various financial products. Each of them have different entities. Each of them have different questions. So as we're accumulating this information, just simply doing this step, trying to align these pieces, putting in the right tags, can be a minimum of 20 to 30% increase in your organic traffic. But again, this is how most of us do it. If we go to the next slide, we want you to start thinking about the way to do it in 2020. You gathering that information, keep it in a database. Milestone actually has this phenomenal product called FAQ Manager where they can store that information. And we just don't want to use it to try to get something in search or for an SEO purpose. If you think about all the things we can do with that, obviously we've got entities. It's very interesting when I talk to people. I've yet to find a company that has a chat bot that's ever talked to their SEO team to see what are people searching for. So imagine if you could store this information, the answer, the question, for a couple reasons. A, we can use it in our chat bots, but really it's starting the process of getting ready for voice search. And if we go to the next slide, this is where things really start to change. We've got this now. Google's actually made it easy, like on your FAQ page or something like recipes. Especially recipes are pretty interesting because they actually allow you to put the pauses in between steps that will show up, especially in Google Assistant. And that's what we want to think about, is all this work that we're typically doing separately to get answer boxes, is start to step back. What information do we need to solve people's problem? How do we scale it? And then how do we get it ready to create these voice actions? Because once we create the voice action and have this data organized, it creates a very interesting ecosystem possibility. And I want to turn it back over to Benu to walk you through that ecosystem that she's seeing specifically with doing things related to Google My Business and providing additional richer content to people looking for this information.
Great, thank you so much, Bill. And one of the things about SEO is doing it for one customer is always easy, but how do you scale? And a lot of time people get worried that, hey, if I'm going to automate, I'm not going to have personalized experience. And if I integrate, it just takes a lot of technical know-how, but my customer is not having that personalized experience. And in 2020, yes, we do need to leverage technology, integration and automation, but key of integration and automation is to still manage and provide that real custom experience. So here is an example of what we are doing within Milestone, where we bring in all the questions across every single channel which customers are asking, whether it's Bing or Google or Yelp or my front desk, and it comes in houses in one central database. And these questions are used to create your voice actions and queries. As your voice actions and queries are created, we are also publishing same set of question and answers on your website. Remember, the freshness of our content and the relevancies of our content is really, really critical. And we are also taking the same sets of questions to create your chatbot. And that chatbot is really customized to your need, because we are using FAQs, which we surfaced just talking to your customer and talking to your customer across all channels and putting it together. Now, once you have the chatbot, once you have all of these assets integrated, whatever your chatbot cannot answer goes as an unanswered intent and is answered by someone who understands your property or your business. Once they answer it, that goes and publishes right on your site and also used to enhance voice action. And that's really what we mean by integration and automation is key, but customer experience is the key for winning. Now, once we say, okay, these 5 steps are really good, we have good intent, we have good content, digital asset, we have all the entities and everything, then we start looking into local, because like Bill has shared how your subs are, local has a huge presence on your in 2020 subs. Now, enhancing GMB and local, there is a key. I know all of us have been talking about NAP and consistent information. That is still true in 2020, but it's not only just consistent information, it's also enhanced information, which is critical. And what do I mean by enhanced information? It started with when Bill was talking about entity and how we have all the information tagged, taking the same set of information, videos, images, hours of operation, FAQs, photos, news, and ensuring that information is accurate and enhanced across all channels. Let's create a central hub where we have all this information housed, which goes on your website, which goes on all the digital asset, and eventually same set of information is going all other channel, your GMB, your Bing, your Yelp profile, everywhere else. And results are just phenomenal. Actually, I was quite surprised when I started looking into local contribution. Local is today contributing as much as your organic search. And it actually proves the point that local has its own local results, and it's really critical for us to capture major share of local. And so right here, it's when you look at the conversion, this is for a same client, when we saw that local contribution is as much as organic, in fact, higher than organic. And this is your booked revenue. In fact, we never used to track local, and recently in the last 3 to 4 months, we started tracking all your local conversion, and it's just phenomenal once you integrate your on-page strategy, your schema strategy, your content strategy, and your page strategy with your local strategy. Just results are just mind-boggling, and this is only a conversion. Then we think about direct and discovery searches. It just, you get phenomenal results. So key here is you are enhancing information. But when you're enhancing information, think about consistency of information. Ensure that whatever you are enhancing through your schema attribute is the same set of information which you are putting in your local ecosystem. And that actually leads into our step 7 in 2020. Yes, we need to optimize for traffic, but we have to optimize for right answer. So check this answer, how personalized it is. It's talking to me, because when I'm on a voice device, I want the response to be personalized. It cannot be a canned response. So how many weddings do you host in a single day? Only yours. And we knew this because this is what we figured that out just talking to our customer. Here is a resort we work for. We created thousands and thousands of questions based on every single asset they were trying to promote. But every single question and answers were written just keeping customers' end goal in mind. And literally for every single device, we just took over all the rich results. People also asked, they're just phenomenal, zero clicks and rich results showing up from just these FAQs. So in 2020, it's all about being that right answer. And that's actually if you think about it, the very first slide Bill shared is us to own search results, us to own Google is our home page, and we need to own every single part of search result, every single search results. And what we mean by that is, just give us a second. Somehow my clicker stopped working. Okay, now it's back. Sorry about that. Okay, so right here, saturating for answer box, saturating for local 3-pack, saturating for news, saturating for images, for videos, for featured snippet, saturating for knowledge graph, for people who ask, for every single thing, every single touch point, every single device is critical. And that's our step 8, saturating SERPs and universal results overall should be a big strategy, big step in 2020. Now, what is the key for success? Key for success is truly understand who is my customer and which device they are going. Is our strategy aligned with their touch point and their needs, right? Once we know who is my customer, which device they're going to, and what is their need across every single device, that's when I can come up with strategy which meets my customer needs. Now our step 9, which is, to me, this is one of the pivotal slide, is there are 5 steps which is critical to enhance for best user experience, right? We can have all the strategies in isolation, but these 5 steps is really gonna help you to stay focused on what truly matters. Speed, really critical. Technical must-have, language tag, canonical, quality of results being surfaced, your crawlability index. This morning I saw something on Forbes that how their organic traffic completely dropped. And why it's dropped, nobody knows. I'm sure they have some kind of a penalty which is going to come out. A couple of months back, we saw same thing for New York Times, and some of the biggest sites are hitting because they don't have most fundamental things right. Speed, mobile, technical SEO, your authority of a domain, your clickability, your relevancy, all these 5 pillars are must-have for you to gain best user experience. Now, here is an example of what impact and significance of impact. Here is one of the sites we work with where literally by improving their speed by 7 seconds, they would save $1.2 million. To me, nothing is more important than just getting them even 3 seconds or even 2 seconds. So every single second matters when it comes to user experience, and everything. Speed has a huge impact. Mobile has a huge impact in overall digital strategy. In fact, what we are saying is a lot of our site where we are a vanity site, creating a vanity site, or we are more of a amplification strategy, a lot of results are coming from downloadable AMP or long tail FAQs and very fast AMP results. And here is an example of what we are seeing, that AMP and FAQ is driving almost 60 to 70% of a cushion, right? It doesn't matter where is this information. Is this information on your AMP site or a FAQ site or a brand site or on a PDF or voice devices? As long as you are the one giving answer for those questions, and if you make user experience really good, that's where you're gonna win. You're gonna have a robust strategy. But if you don't have those five pillars right, milestone of digital strategy, those 5 pillars, then everything goes down. And here is an example of one of a shortfall we saw with one client, where they literally disappeared from search because those 5 pillars were not even considered. They did build a beautiful site, but site did not index right. Site had crazy download time. They did not have right setting for mobile indexing. In fact, it was not even mobile first and disappeared from mobile. Their entire traffic moved from mobile to desktop because speed was horrible and a lot of technical details were missed. So it's really critical, before you think about your digital strategy, think about what are the most important things which are critical for us to be successful. Now, assuming you have all of this taken care of, now going back to our customer and what is the stage they are in, your step 9, inspiration, right? Assuming that you have taken care of your technical must-have, now let's think about how you can use different assets to touch your customer at different stages, through videos, through images, through FAQs, through rich experience they can have across every single touch point and every single digital, across their journey. Now, a lot of time we get this question that how do we monetize? This is so much work. How do we think about conversion? And yes, absolutely, we do need to think about monetization, but first we have to think about solving customer need and user experience if we want to win in 2020. And step 10 is really your right answers can be monetized. Customer is gonna be happy, giving you business or being with you if you are the right answer. So right answers absolutely can be monetized. And that actually leads into some of our last slide, but really very critical. We've been doing search for years, and one of the hardest thing is in search is to align all the strategies across every single discipline. And this is something I personally worked on for almost a year, and it's called our strategy and business objective framework, which helps us define and refine holistic strategy, which aligns with your business objective. And the very first pillar of this strategy, which is again our step 11, is understanding who is your customer and where are they in their journey. Are they in purchase mode? Are they in advocacy mode? Or where exactly are they exploring? Are they in decision making? Once you know who is your customer and where are they, then you can come up with then you think about what is our goal as a business. And once I know what is our goal as a business, we want to increase awareness or conversion, then you come up with SMART goal and you come up with all the strategies across every single channel. It's not paid working in silo and content working in silo. It's really all of us working together to accomplish those goals. And then we think about impact and the KPI, which is again really, really critical. Sorry about that, give me a second. Sample KPI. And why this framework is really important, because it helps us align strategies with KPI, with business goal. You cannot have an awareness goal and use KPI, which is related to conversion, or you can't have a conversion goal and use KPI, which is related to awareness. Or all of this has to have a perfect synergy to come up with holistic strategy, which works in 2020. And here are just few examples. Think about your audience, think about what are they doing and where are they coming for which device, what is their loyalty, and what are you selling as a business. In fact, what happens when we don't think about our audience and a strategy and business objective, and we just go run and create an isolated strategy. Here is an example of an isolated strategy where you see this is one of our clients where we overall we were not doing display for them, but again they had another agency, and displayed number looked awesome. But when we started going into the audience targeting, because other agency did not have audience data, we figured that the audience setting were wrong. So even though they got a lot of impression, a lot of clicks, but 80% bounce rate because they were targeting to wrong audience to begin with. So that actually gets us into our step 11, which is think about strategy across all channel, but think about the impact you're going to measure before you think about the channel, before you say we are going to do content marketing or technical SEO or analytics or any of that, right? What impact we want to drive. Is it user experience? Is it relevancy, authority, all of those things? Think about the impact first, and then think about the channel and strategies which can help you accomplish that business impact and measurable impact. Now, last step, I would say, and it has absolutely nothing to do with digital marketing, but probably the most critical step for organization to take. We have this huge, battle within the company, and a good battle, that EQ versus IQ. Both of them are important. Knowledge is really, really critical, and we all, as a digital marketer, have to stay ahead. But what's really critical in 2020 is to convert our knowledge into wisdom. It's not us working in our silo, it's us working together and bringing the very best of paid and very best of content and very best of design and very best of PR agency together towards one single objective. Because when you think about our conversion is not one channel. This is across the channel. So here is a beautiful visualization you can have. If all the teams work together to come up with holistic strategy, which is your local and paid and social and content and everything else. If you are coming to SMS, absolutely check out conversion optimization session and cross-channel optimization session. But here is what shows as what it takes to convert user and keeping laser sharp focus on your user. Now, this is our last slide, which actually talks about how do you create goals which is not specific to actions and channels which are related to which aligns all the teams together. So instead of saying, hey, we will increase our CTR by 10%, we'll say we will increase engagement for our user. We have to make sure the quality of experience we are providing is just phenomenal. A lot of these KPI, a lot of these goals really enable all the team to work together. And this is, to me, is one of the biggest battle where we all are working together towards one single goal rather than working in our own silo and not aligning all the strategies with business problem we are really trying to solve. I think we are almost close to the end. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We do have something complimentary from our marketing team. I know there are a lot of people who have joined in. If you want to know a little bit more about your content health, entity search, our marketing team is offering complimentary review of your strategy and content health. Any of these offering, if you do go to this link, first 50 attendees will get a complimentary review. Please do go sign up. And if you want to know a little bit more about Milestone and Engage, we do have our customer conference coming shortly. Last year we had Rand, we also had Bill, some amazing engaging speakers. We also have a webinar coming from Yelp, but absolutely go check it out. Back to you, Brent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, both Bill and Benu. I mean, it's really a trove of amazing information. And I think that, as I mentioned kind of at the beginning of the presentation, these really are, the two, thought leaders in the space, so definitely, people you want to listen to and you want to follow up with and follow and track. I do want to take a moment just to mention that we have a bunch of questions that I'm going to go through here in a second as we dive into Q&A. We have about 20 minutes for that. I do want to mention our next webinar, which will be in about 2 weeks, again on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be how to outsmart your competitors and win market share using location data. So definitely going to be interesting. Definitely suggest taking a moment and finding the registration on our site and signing up for it. With that said, I do want to drive into Q&A. We do have quite a few questions. So I'm just going to start with the first one. Considering how much of a chokehold the major companies have, specifically in reference to like organic search and the fact that they have a lot of the competitive keywords like mobile phones or PlayStation, these kind of like really short specific phrases that they dominate, isn't local search pretty much the priority, especially for any small business going forward?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, first thing I would say, mobile phone, if you actually go Google that phrase, no handset maker shows up. It's all people selling them. So you're right, it is a big retailer that typically gets that, but they often get that because they have the resources, they have created the content. And I do agree that if you've got a local niche, if you're a small shop selling things related to mobile phones, you need to own that local. And I think Benu's points where she was talking about that, don't just make sure you've got your hours up there, but add additional information. That is something you can definitely control. So I think that's the thing. The third is, where outside of that big marquee word, I find it odd that, like when I was at IBM, we never sold a laptop for the phrase laptops. We made sales further down the funnel. So, find words further down the funnel that you might be able to own, and you'll be surprised that a lot of large sites that have significant budgets often don't focus on that. They focus, on the top of the funnel and don't do much, very little mid funnel. And even less sometimes at the end. So I think there's a wide open opportunity for you to figure out that. The other thing you'll find is that if they are owning a lot of the regular results, click some of the PAAs that people also ask, and you'll find a lot of those sites, by the nature of the creative and the way they build their site, often aren't tuned to get that. And that's a question I get from big guys a lot is, hey, somebody is ranking for all of our specifications. It's like, well, you don't have specifications in a format that can be read. They're in a pop-up. Let's put them in the page. And then within days of moving them into the page, they own their specifications. So I think there is room for people, and I think to Benu's point, look at your various assets, look at local, and then work your way out from that, and you should be able to capture a fair bit of traffic.
And Bill made a really good point. I just wanted to add one little comment on, and that's that, really understanding the buying cycle, right? Where people are at. A lot of times what people are asking for and what they're looking for when they're searching for something like a mobile phone, you might find that there might be a glitch or a problem. So writing an article that solves the problem on a device before somebody buys it could be a way of actually being a funnel to get people to buy that specific phone. So there's, just really understanding the buying cycle is super powerful.
So Brett, I want to add here, adding FAQ, right? We have seen such a phenomenal returns just adding few FAQs which your customers are asking on your local 3-pack, and it just works because a lot of large sites just don't take out time to customize that experience.
Exactly. Next question. Google recently announced that it has rolled out an algorithm update that restricts URLs that are shown in the feature snippet from appearing again within the first 10 organic search results. And the question, the person asked the question really wanted to know, what are your thoughts about this update in general?
I'm fine with it. It's just if you're using inferior rank checking tools, it's probably going to show that you don't rank well, because a lot, have traditionally shown that as position 0, and sort of, couched that in the universal. So it may look like overnight you lost all your rankings, which you didn't necessarily do. I'm torn. I think, especially on mobile, that was a redundant thing. My strategy is if I have an answer box, and this is exactly what I've been doing for the past 10 days with clients, is if I have an answer box, I want to really make sure that I'm answering the question. And Benu had the slide in there where she showed that, let's inform people. And it's interesting. I have one now where somebody asks a question about one of my clients' products, does it have gluten? It doesn't, but the person answering it says it does. So it's technically an incorrect answer, but the way that they coded the page, they're not going to get the answer box. So, I'm fine with it. In the big picture, it does maximize shelf space, all that stuff. But I just think from a user perspective, it was extraneous to begin with. And let's just figure out ways to leverage it because they still can click from the answer box.
Actually, thank you, Bill. So Brett, I'll take it here. What I feel is a mind shift change even within the organization where we should start rewarding user experience more than the clicks, right? Because what happened historically, we have always said, hey, how many clicks are coming to your site? But why will people come to your site if they get the right answer on Google screen? And to me, if that right answer is coming from my site, I'm fine. In fact, I will reward rich snippet more than people showing up on my site, because end of the day, my goal is to be part of to own my customer mind share, right? It's not about the click, it's about owning that mind share. And if I can give them that right answer, in case of US Bank, we were showing FAQ, how we gave them right answer. Of course, your clicks are gonna go down, but I am the one who's owning their mind share, not anybody else. So yes, it does require a shift in our overall measurement where we start measuring rich snippet and impression rather than just people showing up from Google to our site.
So I have a number of questions in here that relate to, workload essentially. And I think this is a question we get a lot of times. There is a ton of really good information in all these 12 steps, but in every step, the volume of strategy, work, and implementation is rather large for any size company. And so the questions are kind of like, one was, out of all these things, what are the top really that we should be focusing on first? If you would put them in order, like what would be maybe your top 3 of these 12 things that you really want to focus on? And do you have any tips for how to, optimize that work flow or that work amount for companies to really be able to accomplish it?
Absolutely. I would say your technical must have those 5 pillars we talked about. If you don't have it's like you can't build a house until you have strong foundation. And to me, strong foundation is really your technical must have, speed and mobile and everything you need to even get in front of your customer, right? Think about site like your New York Times or Forbes. Why would they get penalty? They have all kinds of budget. They are getting penalty, or they are seeing drop in their organic traffic because they probably didn't have one of that pillar. You need those 5 pillars before you get and create anything. And that's what I would suggest in terms of how to do it. It's an alignment, right? It's really showing people that why speed matter. Go to impact calculator, show the impact of speed on your conversion, and everything changes. You don't need a robust paid strategy or a content strategy if your platform doesn't have those must have. Bill,
So,
would you like to add something?
yeah, Bill, real quick. I mean, that is something that's kind of been reiterated for about, I think about the last 2 years, is that like technical SEO is pretty much everything. If you don't start with technical SEO, then you're kind of, you can't even get to the next phase. Do you agree with that? Do you think that it's really technical?
I'm going to simplify it even further. Here's what you do today. I mean, right after this webinar, go to Google Search Console, go to the performance report, sort it by impressions, and then look to see which one of those words that relates to what you do has few clicks. And then take that word and go to Google in incognito and do a search and see what shows up. So I'll give you a prime example. They probably won't listen to this. So if 20 days ago, right after Bert hit, if you did a query for drinks with triple sec, we were getting a insane amount of traffic to Absolute for that query. And then it magically disappeared, but I still ranked #1. So how do you rank for #1 for something and have the majority of your traffic disappear? It happened because Google took away our answer box that listed 6 drinks with triple sec and replaced it with a carousel of drink images. And so as soon as we noticed, like the next day, we noticed when the traffic went down that it was replaced by a carousel, but we weren't in the carousel. So for a year and a half, we owned that result. And it was replaced overnight by Google with a better user experience. So our next step was, this was a marquee word, it drove a lot of traffic, and we worked on the images for drinks with triple sec to get 2 out of the 3 in the carousel. So yes, that could be construed as technical SEO, it could be construed as content marketing, it could be construed whatever. The point was, is we looked at where it's at. Time after time, I've been part of either presentations, and I showed a client how 600,000 questions people were asking in their site search. And first answer was, we can't possibly even think about this because it was overwhelming to answer and we said, okay, let's narrow it down to money-making words. As Benu said, how do we monetize this? Then we said, what's the biggest one we can monetize? If we could get 10 people to convert, instead of just showing them an FAQ, let's put a link to that. So that's what I want to say is follow the money. Where do you have the highest opportunity for gain? Where is it you're matching the searcher's intent? So that's where I would start, and start with 1, then go to 2, and then go to 3. And then if you do have to re-engineer things on the back end, if you do have to do things with site speed, put in those tickets. That's not going to happen overnight. But you can tweak a description, you can tweak an image name, you can write an FAQ and wrap it in schema tags. Those are the things that you can start moving the needle one at a time while you're implementing all the things that Benu talked about to scale it.
And on top of that, I mean, once you start showing an increase in revenue, you typically get a lot more freedom, a lot more resources to go after a lot more.
Exactly. To show 1 or 2, hey, I did these 1 or 2, this is the steps, and then this is the tool, the solution, the manpower I need to replicate this across a larger set of actions.
So we talk about FAQ quite a bit, and there's good reason for that, because FAQ feeds into a lot of different opportunities, right? And so I think it shouldn't be a question of whether or not FAQs are valuable, but let's talk a little bit about advice for where you would place FAQs on your site. Like if you have an FAQ page, would you integrate it into product pages? Would you make separate blog posts? And do you add FAQ schema?
Yeah, so what I would suggest, and Bill, feel free to add to it, what we have seen is try to have FAQ almost like a widget on your homepage, and then make sure that FAQ is properly integrated across most of your category page. So let's say if you are talking about, car rental or car, and then every single main category page should have FAQ. Personally, what we like to say, if we are giving results to search engines, give FAQ as the first thing, which loads because again, 80% of your queries are informational queries. Absolutely, absolutely wrap FAQs with schema, and not only FAQs with schema, any valid, good piece of content needs to be wrapped with schema. Why? Because people are not coming to your desktop. If your information is not nicely wrapped with schema, you're never going to be found in all kinds of entity search and screened as searches. So yes, absolutely place FAQ everywhere, wherever you have main category page. Absolutely mark it with schema, but not only FAQ, any piece of content which includes your video, images, your hours of operation, your recipes, your PDF. Mark everything with valid schemas and nested schemas to ensure search engine understand what we are trying to say.
The only other comment I'll add just real quick, and I'm gonna let Bill kind of close this out with the answer to that, is that, Benu gives really great example of that, but just remember user experience. Don't take that advice and get crazy and have your whole site like subsequent to an FAQ, and now your entire site's an FAQ. Like, definitely think user experience as well, and don't try to take that information and figure out how to game the system with it. Use it appropriately. Bill?
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I guarantee somebody heard that and they're going to go make, it's going to convert their whole site to an FAQ site. It's in the context, right? And so we step back and think about that. So your question was, do we put it on a product? Yes. Do we have a separate FAQ? It really depends on what you're trying to answer. I mean, here's one of my classic ones. So somebody asked a question, can I convert my day pass to a multi-day pass? And the site's FAQ answer was yes. So yes, you answered the question. Yes, it's possible. But if you expand that with, can you do it online? Can you do that in advance? Can you, oh, by the way, can you click this link? And then the other part is, yes, absolutely. I mean, Google's really made this clear on their FAQ schema, and we're seeing it now. Like I spent most of yesterday testing this. We put out an FAQ page, and then we wrapped it in schema, and then when the ones that we did last week, we're already seeing appear in Google Assistant. The one with the screen. So they're definitely taking that, and we found the difference was simply wrapping it. It has to be visible on the page, and then we wrapped it in FAQ schema that validated, and it works. But again, don't go nuts with this. Figure out what they're really asking, and where can we and to Benu's point, where can we monetize it? Where can we take somebody looking for park and ride in Palo Alto, have them click through and actually come and book a park and ride spot at your hotel, and do that. So think about it holistically. Just don't go nuts and start scraping and auto-generating stuff. Really put some thought into it.
Beautiful. We've kind of run out of time. I do want to follow up and say that there are a number of questions in here, a ton of questions actually, but at least 10 more, but we just didn't have the time to get to them. So what we are going to do is we're going to send these questions over to Bill and Benu and ask them to kind of give us quick responses to these questions, and we will make sure that we get these into the recap post that we're going to publish on Monday. So don't worry, we're going to work on getting those answers to those questions, even though we didn't have a time to address them live. I definitely want to say thank you, Bill. Thank you, Benu. This is really good information. I think this is really what people are looking for at this point going into 2020 and really putting their schedules and putting their stuff together. So I think you really added a lot to the plate, and I think you really gave a lot of information. I just want to personally thank both of you for coming on and sharing all of that.
Thank you so much, Brett. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.